You got me laughing.
I know you do your thing. Peace and respect. You don't know nothing else about Ford. Peace and respect will take you very, very far with him. Okay, you choose. It's your house. Every time I saw somebody on here, I would say, I know my time comes. You don't sound so low and you so tall. Give me a pillow.
You want this one? This the one I usually. Yeah. Oh.
Corey, you're the producer. So I'm just gonna do like this.
Yeah. So what's up, everybody? It's your boy Corey. I'm back again with another Real Talk Conversations on the couch with one of my great friends, Gia. And we're just gonna be talking about a lot of things. As y'all know, whenever I have a guest on here, we tap into a lot of things. We're gonna talk about corporate America, meeting each other, stories, funny stories, good times, and then also just get to the meat and potatoes of things that's going on in both of our lives. So hopefully that can help some of you all out, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get some knowledge from this video too. But first off, let me allow Gia to introduce herself.
Well, hey, you already know me. But for those that don't, my name is Gia. As Corey said, we met in corporate America. I am a screenwriter. So if you don't know what that means, simply put, I write television. Atlanta, born and raised, go Dogs. I'm a recent UCLA grad, so go Bruins as well.
Turn up.
Yeah, that's who I am. I know we're gonna go more into it, but that's a quick snapshot.
Yeah, we're gonna dive into that too, because how many times in your life you done met somebody that screenwrite, can make a show, can pitch it? We're gonna talk about that for sure. So thank you for being on the channel, first of all. Second, when I first met Gia, it was at Accenture. I maybe was there for maybe a year before you, or was it a couple of months?
I mean, I got there October 2019. So when did you start?
In 2018, I think.
So a year.
I think.
Yeah,
about a year. But first thing I realized about Gia, she's very kind, she's very nice, very generous. I think your first day in, you talk about, so what y'all like for your birthdays?
I did do that.
I was like,
did.
Okay. All right.
Oh, what an awful time in my life.
I know what type of time we on. I want me a little Cartier watch. But no,
because I did Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
I did, because I came in October.
So she kind of brought like a refreshing, happy, positive vibe to the team. And I wasn't the only black person on the team anymore. So that's pretty cool. But either way, I always knew her as just being positive, uplifting, upbeat. And she also became a good friend of mine. So we're going to talk about that too.
Yep.
But first off, let's rewind. You know what I'm saying? You was born and raised in Georgia, right?
Correct.
So walk us through that. What was your upbringing like? Because I want to get to what that was like before we get into who you are today.
Okay. Well, I don't know if Amaretta follows you. So in case she does, I'm not really from Atlanta. I'm technically
not Atlanta.
Yeah, because I don't need nobody coming for me. So my upbringing was a hybrid. So I always went to school in Cobb County. Grew up in Marietta, but my mom worked night shifts. So my grandmother lived in Southwest Atlanta near the West End. So I would go to school and then come to my grandmother's house every day. So I claim both. So, Cobb County, SWAT, both. And it was great. I mean, I'm an only child. So that kind of feeds into how the television stuff came about. Because if you're an only child, you don't have anybody to talk to play with. And when you're at grandma's house, I mean,
making up stories, playing with yourself.
Yeah. So, but it was cool. I think being in Cobb County, there wasn't a lot of neighborly love, but you go to, the West End, the kids outside playing. So I think I had kind of the best of both worlds. And then probably by the time maybe 8th grade, 7th grade, my mom switched to day shift and I was just in Cobb County. So
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you grew up in Cobb County. When you got to high school, how did growing up in this area shape you into who you are now? How did those experiences, the friends that you made you go down the right path, maybe you go down the wrong path, came back to the right path? Walk me through that.
I mean, some of my high school friends, so they're still around. Yeah. Shout out to Zani.
Yep.
It was a trying time because the high school that I went to, while they were very academically advanced, we were tokens. Like it was not a lot of us. And I went there during Obama's campaign. So it was a lot of like, I remember Obama won and we wore our shirts and we got sent home.
Ooh.
They were like, either you can call your parents and get some clothes,
What?
You could turn it inside out, or you can go home.
Dang.
And there was a lot of racial tension. So I think that also shaped me because, I wasn't taking it laying down. Teacher, administrator. I mean, not disrespectfully just going out and disrespecting people, but I think I learned to advocate for myself during that time. And I think it helped me in corporate America. As we know, like you said, you were the only one on the team. I made 2 on the team. So it just helped me navigate those spaces where we are not always appreciated and considered in how those environments function.
Dang. Yeah, that's crazy. They made y'all want to take your shirts off.
Yeah.
Okay. So fast forward now, you went to UGA. You said go Dogs. You know, keeping in the SEC. You know, I went to South Carolina. And what did you major in at UGA?
So I'm aging myself. At the time, it was called Mass Media Arts, but now I think it's called Entertainment Studies. But people don't know this. I did not get into UGA at first. I didn't even apply to UGA. I applied to UGA as a fluke. So I, my family, very close-knit. It was like, you're not leaving the state of Georgia.
Right.
And I had a cousin that went to Georgia State. I never saw Georgia State. I never toured. It was just like, it's good enough for her. Cool, I'll go. They rejected me. Ooh. And I actually met the qualifications, but
Georgia State?
Georgia State rejected me.
Dang.
And this is like my, I don't know what they call it, the story where you villain story. I don't know. But baby, I was appealing. I was talking to anybody that I could talk to.
You're trying to get them answers turned
over. It was just a matter of I didn't even want you, but now that you don't want me,
it's a problem.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird story. I mean, it's not even weird. It's God.
Dang, I ain't knew that.
They rejected me. I then got in. They were like, you can come, but you have to come in the spring. So I was supposed to go to KSU for the fall and transfer in the spring. And randomly, this lady just called me and was like, "Are you signed up for the retreat?" And I'm like, "What retreat?" And it was called a FLC, which was like a freshman learning community. And I, being savvy at that time, I was like, "Can you email it to me?"
Right. That
email got me in. It was a mistake. I don't know how. She swears I was on the list. I was not, and they had to honor it, and they had to put me in that FLC. What? So that is how I got into Georgia State. And I met one of my best friends in that FLC that I still talk to this day. Dang. And I hated that school. So I transferred my freshman year. Did not tell my mom. I didn't tell anybody.
You just up and did it.
And I applied as a joke. Like, for me, UGA was always a school that I felt like I would just never get into. So I applied as a joke, and they sent me the little email with the fireworks, you got in. And I was like, now what?
Dang.
So I went to my mom and I was like, yeah, I'm going to UGA. And I thought she was going to object. And she was like, okay.
As long as you're still in school. Shoot.
Well, I think at that time, so my palate, I don't eat much, y'all. I eat like a 12-year-old.
That's facts.
And my mom just felt like at that time I had just gotten my car. I got my car as a high school graduation gift. So I just started driving. And she just felt like for me to go, even if it was just an hour and a half or 2 hours away, it was going to be too much for me. Right. But her words were like, if you can drive downtown every day, you got it.
Okay.
Because I was a commuter at Georgia State, which also impeded my experience. So then I went over to UGA, and I just had this thing for people telling me no. Like, if you told me I could not do something, it was
she
like,
don't prove that she can do it.
Yeah. And I mean, my high school probably built that out of me, but
that's where it stemmed from.
Yeah, they told me that I was not going to graduate on time, transferring. And I was like, who? I graduated on time. That's my college story. But UCLA was my dream school. So
now moving into just like your corporate America journey, we're just going to jump to Accenture, where we met.
Yeah.
How would you say, y'all probably watched my corporate America video, how I talked about Accenture and my experience, but how would you say your experience was there?
At Accenture?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how honest I want to be. You know what? It honestly, you take the good with the bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will say there was a lot going on. So you remember when I first started, they had created a position for me and nobody knew what this person was supposed to be doing. I'm a very structured person. And it was so many things like my
what
phone.
I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah, like I was asking Corey, like, what I'm supposed to be doing. My phone didn't work. So I was calling candidates from my cell phone, which is a no-no for me. Because we were doing that like sourcing blitz where we were just calling all these people. And I just really wanted structure. Like I was like, well, I can't really plan for my job if I don't know what my job is.
Exactly.
Then remember they did the reorg and that job didn't exist anymore. So then I'm like, what does this mean? And then networking is key. Shout out to Jordan. Just in talking to different people, my name got tossed in the hat for the IND team.
Yep.
And I think that was like a whirlwind for me. I'm blessed that that's happened because it gave me so much experience. But I was mad. Like the truth of the matter was because I felt like somebody removed my right to choose. And that's very important to me. Like you can present me with the role and allow me to decide if I want that role. But to call me one day and be like, your new position is this, and I have no say so in the matter, we're not renegotiating salaries because that job is completely different. Like you're planning conferences, you're talking to diversity partners, your budget is a lot different. Like it is totally different. And I'm like, oh, I would not have accepted this job for that pay. I would not have done it.
Same thing happened to me with the reorg.
With the reorg.
What team? I was on a candidate management team.
You were on the candidate management team.
Yeah.
So, but I truly believe that it was a blessing in disguise because so much of my experience now I can glean on, from that. And it's open doors for me because after Meta, I got Meta, after Accenture, I got Meta. And I think that it was the work that I was doing, but that was a hard team to be on during the pandemic, George Floyd, all these things happening. We're brand new on the team. All the conferences are moving to virtual for the first time. So I felt like I'm new. This is new, and there was really nobody to give like this is what you need to do. So
everybody was going through
through it. Yeah. So it got me kind of out of that needing structure of like, I need a blueprint, give me this, because it didn't exist.
Right.
And I'm grateful for that. But I think at that time, let me say this, Accenture is a great company because of the flexibility. Like nobody is micromanaging you. You do what you need to do when you need to do it. It's very open, honest. So I won't take that from them. I think that situation was tough for me. But I think it was still a good company. And it is still one of the only companies that I can stand behind. Like, I think when you recruit, you need to believe in that company.
That is very true.
Because you're lying to people.
That is key.
Otherwise, like if you hate your job and you're going to a career fair every day being like, yes,
it's miserable.
It's wonderful here. And you know that you
ain't trying to be there.
It's awful.
Yeah.
But I genuinely believed in, because at the same time, like our division may have been going through something, but consulting was not that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I felt like
they did what they had to do.
Yeah. I felt like I was really setting these kids up. And when we saw like what these kids were making, the opportunities that they had, I didn't have that out of college. So I think that was something that I held on to with my own frustration about my career, is what I was doing specifically in IND for other Black and brown future leaders. That was what sustained me of like, I don't want to do this right now. But like, I remember we had to do might have been, I ain't gonna say the name of the organization, but we had to go in and I did not want to do it. It was on a Saturday. We don't get paid overtime. And I just didn't want to do it. And I remember just being like, there are students that this is their dream company. They've been planning to see you. They waiting to see you. You owe it to them to show up and to show up well. And I think that we hear a lot in HR, like, we're not surgeons. Nobody dies if we have a bad day.
Right.
And my caveat to that is like, that is true. But we have the ability to kill dreams. They're easy. There are people who have been dreaming of certain professions, certain companies. And when you have a bad day, meaning I just don't want to, I'm not going to answer this email. Like, that is the difference between somebody quitting, somebody not making a rent payment, whatever that looks like. So I do feel like I take that onus of like, even when my head is not in it from like a personal standpoint, I have a duty to serve.
That's true. She do have a duty to serve.
Yeah.
And I agree. I feel like at Accenture, like the work that we were doing in order to get like future consultants, technology, app developers, all kind of stuff like that, that like they were doing cool stuff, and we were like on the forefront of making sure that they get some quality talent. So I enjoyed that aspect. My aspect that I didn't enjoy was more like personal and management relationship. That's the part that as y'all probably already see through that video. Because I feel like Accenture is a place where, well, at least in recruitment, where if one person that is at a leadership level or higher than you have an opinion, they're going to spread that.
And everybody shape their opinion based off of that person. That's true.
Based off of like what your actual work say about whatever you're doing. But
and I think that there's a lot of especially, and I would love to hear your thoughts, even though this is your interview, but, you know, being a man and a Black man in a white female dominated industry, I think even simple things like when we get on calls, we're not, hey, how's everybody's weekend? That may not be our default. That does not mean I'm not engaged. That does not mean I don't, care. Right. So I think even sometimes things like that, where especially going all virtual, where, you see people that may not work as hard as you, may not be as good as you, but because they are engaged, because they are talking about their cat and how they went for a walk, but that got them places where I think that a lot of people of color that truly come in head down, I'm coming to get my work done, are seen as they're not engaged. And it's I'm just here to do my job. So
I'm here to do it well. And let the numbers speak for itself.
So how do you feel about that as a Black male in that industry? Because I mean, we've been on plenty of calls. Remember that call? I'm not going to say his name, but when he showed up with that bonnet on, I had to turn my camera off because I immediately looked at you and I was like, I'm over it.
I don't know why that man had that bonnet on.
Well, in a row.
He didn't mean to have the bonnet on camera, but when I saw it, I was like...
But he like took his time turning the camera off. He was just like, this is...
I mean, I feel like for me, in like a female dominant type of industry and primarily white, I've had cases where I can easily build great relationships, and I've had cases where it's a challenge based off of like, I feel like in any role you got to prove yourself, but I feel like when you get into the position where it's an uphill battle to prove yourself, then to me it's like, it's because we're not connected in that way, like you were saying. Like, I can relate to you when it comes to this, or I can relate to you when it comes to having dogs, cats, kids, whatever it is. But I have been in spaces like now. I'm in spaces where I'm now, especially after the layoffs at Google, my team is primarily white women now,
which is crazy in Atlanta.
Which is crazy, but like I connect with all of them, and they understand like my work ethic. They trust me, like. They don't second guess anything. Like they know what I'm capable of. Versus at Accenture, I feel like I was never able to like turn that over because I don't know what the stigma was, but I always did my job. But I would talk to people and then they would say, "Oh, I heard this." I'm like, "What?"
Like, I heard about Corey.
Yeah, like what?
Yeah,
it
was hard for you.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't even know how that's even possible. But that's my opinion. I don't think it's based on just being in a primarily woman dominated field. I think it's up to who that person is in your team or as your manager to kind of cultivate that. Yeah. And my manager trusts me, and then people see that my manager trusts me, so they trust me, and then it just bounce and goes from there. But at Accenture, if my main manager is acting the fool,
not acting the fool.
If they see she acting the fool, they go hop on board with her because she the manager. Since we met at Accenture, we became close. I would tell you about my dating chronicles.
Yes.
See, she already laughing because she know. So how would you describe my dating chronicles back when I used to be in these streets?
So I think we have to preface this.
Go ahead.
So this was my first week on the team. And we did that outing because like somebody was here that wasn't usually here. It might have been Caroline and them. I don't know.
Right.
But we went out and you were like, hey, you did not know me. We had not really talked like that. You're like, do you feel like you should be obligated to open the door?
Was that in DC?
No, we were here, but they were here. So we went out to eat because they were here. But that was my first week. Mm-hmm. And you were like, do you feel like they should be obligated? And I'm like, what is this, man? I don't know you. And I was like, well, I don't think you're obligated, but I think if that's something that she requires and you're not willing to offer that, then it's not a match.
Right.
You end up with the girl. After, against my better advice, she was crazy as a bestie bug. And I think that that's what we need to focus on. Why I gave you so many warnings. Hey, this sounds crazy. Hey, this sounds like alcoholism. All of these things. And you just thought she was at Six Flags. Like all these red flags waving. No.
Let's preface it this way too. Yes, I ended up with that one, but the rest of them were just talking stages. I did end up with one.
But they were extended talking stages that you could have gotten out of.
Yeah. But you know, when you extend the talking stages, you keep your mind open to other opportunities.
But you also kept yourself open to more craziness that you didn't have to go through.
That I can control though, because I control how many times I can see them, how many times I interact with them.
Alizé.
I mean, yeah, not Alizé. That was her nickname.
We got a nickname for everybody. I think you have a case of the know better, do better blues. Okay. Because you know better. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like when you bring these things to me, like that girl that was dumb, I'm not going to tell you why, but you know why.
She was dumb.
Dealing with sound and keeping sound in.
Oh.
Dumb. Okay, so you recognize that. Mm-hmm. We're talking about it like, this probably ain't going to be. It's like, well, I just want to see. It's just like, Corey.
But this is the thing with her in particular, yes. But she was in med school. I was like, she can't be that.
Now, I will say, I don't think you dated the same kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You dated multiple versions of crazy, multiple versions of funk.
They just happen to be different. That's all.
Yeah, like it's like one might be musty, one might be,
You know, everybody got a little flaw. I was just sharing some of the flaws.
Well, I will say this because I really do feel like this is the burden of male-female relationships. Because I want to advocate for the woman because I am a woman. But my loyalty is to you as my friend. Mm-hmm. So if you're coming to me saying, I want this type of woman, that's what I'm rooting for. Right. If you then present to me somebody who is not those things. So if you say, I value a stylish woman, I want her to smell good. I want her to, be about her business. I want to, be proud of what she's accomplishing. And you bring me somebody and say, well, I hung out with her. She was musty. The outfit was bad. She really don't have nothing going on. It's like, what's redeeming about this girl?
But
that was a real scenario, so don't even.
I wasn't bringing them to her to make a decision whether I should be with them. It was just more so of like, yo, should I cut this off now?
Yes.
Or should I just be like, try to give extra?
Let me paint, because see, you're skipping. I'm looking out for you and what you say that you want. So when you bring me these people, stop. When you bring me these people, I'm simply just checking off the boxes you created. I'm not creating boxes for you.
She did give some solid advice. She gave some solid advice. Sometimes I ignored it. Sometimes I took it. Sometimes I saved it for later. Yeah. So, it just depends. I went to her for advice. I never said I'm going to take everything you give me, but I'm going to take it into consideration. And that's what I did. And
I took your advice.
Yeah. So that's how we do. We feed off each other. But in speaking on that, a lot of people have these opinions on men and women being strictly friends. And nothing but friends. And I can say me and Gia has always been
strictly friends.
Co-workers, friends, became cool after that.
Yep.
They ain't never tried each other.
Nope.
It's just always been friend vibes. So how you feel about that?
I've always been able to have male friends. it doesn't bother me. I think that to me, it's like a common sense thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you have a friend that you are like incredibly attracted to, that, hey, you know, I think your intentions matter. But I do think the pretense is that we met in a working situation. I do think because we come to each other about dating advice, you get to see the caliber, like the types of people that your friends like. You also get to see that you don't fit into those categories or they don't fit into your categories. So I think like if you were seeing everybody that I was dating and they looked identical to you, I think that might be like a, like she might be. But I also think that it's like, you can tell in the advice that somebody gives you because some people only give negative feedback because they're trying to clear a space for themselves.
That's facts.
And they're bitter that like, oh, you entertaining her, but I'm right here. I think like I've rooted for people as much as I've criticized people. So I think that
that's true.
For us, like it's always been pure, you know. And to your point, like this is my first time at your house. Like we don't have that. So
right. Yeah.
There's no blurred
It's always
lines.
been like, respect thing too. So like I'm in a relationship. She don't always call me or hit me up or text me anytime. Like,
and me and your girlfriend are friends.
Yeah. And
so
friends.
And I think that's important as well. Like when I met her, was so excited. Like I was proud of the person that you chose, and literally like me going through egg freeze and all of that, like as much as you checked in, she checked in as well. But I feel like I've always made it clear to her, like there is nothing, going on.
Right.
And that I'm rooting for y'all. I'm praying for y'all as a unit. So I think that that's important, and respecting those lines of like, we had a time during Accenture, we used to talk all day. Like we literally would call each other on the work computer. So it would look like we in a meeting all day. That we was working, but we talked a lot. That doesn't happen like that anymore because you are in a different stage of your life. And I think that's also important that you as a woman, or if you're the man in the situation, understand like, hey, I can't be like, well, now you switching up because you got it. It's like he's supposed to switch up.
Right.
So honoring that relationship is important.
That's true. Because I do feel like sometimes people feel like you can't just be strictly friends with the opposite sex. You know what I'm saying? Like they feel like, oh, something had to happen. Oh, they too cool. Oh, they too close.
Well, somebody asked me that because I post your stuff all the time.
Oh yeah.
Like when you post a video and somebody was like, have y'all ever? And I was like, no. Like literally, I was like, no. But in the sense of like, I love you like family. Like I'm just like, And I'm like, in matter of fact, like he's in a relationship. Like I support, but I think it's odd because I support you at the same rate that I support my female friends, and nobody's like weirded out by that.
This is the opposite sex.
Yeah. So I do think that that's important. But yeah, I think it's fine. I think boundaries have to be in place. I think that if somebody does start to develop feelings, like they need to let that be known. And I think at that point, there is no more friendship.
Yeah.
Like at the point that you tell me, hey, it's more than this, and I know it's not that for me, I don't think you can just continue as friends. I think that that's the, although we've come to the end of the road, we got to let go.
Yeah.
So but I have multiple male friends.
Yeah.
So I personally don't have a problem with it, but you have other female friends.
Yeah. I think it's just all about being able to set, like you said, a clear boundary and let people know what it is up front. And I'm respectful in a way, like any of my close female friends, I never tried anything with them. I never had any type of physical kissing, no nothing like that. It's just been straight friends. So I do think the lines would be blurred if any of that happened, and then you try to rewrite it into being a friendship that will always kind of be lingering in the background. But all my female friends, I ain't never
are strictly friends.
Yeah, strictly friends. So it works out in my favor because I don't see any of them like that.
Because I feel like men, though, when you meet a girl and she says, I have a male friend, y'all often side eye that guy and be like, he's just waiting in the wings. He's just waiting for his shot.
We gotta see, because a lot of men know how to play that role. The thing about a lot of men is if they see a woman that's attractive, they become friends with her. They be like, I'm attracted to her. Maybe if they have any inkling that maybe something could happen, they're gonna play the line of friend and waiting for their turn. If they like strictly nothing gonna happen, they can stay strictly friends. But anytime it's a maybe if things was different.
But what if she don't like him?
That's true, but you can't account for another person's actions. Say my girlfriend had a close male friend, and deep down that male friend had something going for her. As a man.
But how do you know that?
But let's just say I got an inkling.
So your gut feeling is telling you. My gut feeling
is saying like, oh.
But she's assured you that it's not that.
But I gotta trust that he would take care of her when I'm not there. You know what I'm saying? Like if they out and they want to grab a drink or they want to go grab a coffee or something like that, I gotta trust that he not gonna try something. I gotta trust that his reason for being there is strictly friends. Because if not, it can go left. It can be like, oh, this might be my moment to be like, oh, you know, I like you, right? And then, you know, like it's just, it's a little bit difficult.
But do you trust your partner? Like, regardless of his motive, she's gonna shut this down.
I trust her, but I can't say what every partner I've had.
Okay, that's fair.
Because at the end of the day, before you come into the picture, you don't know what happened.
Correct.
You got to trust that person. And maybe things didn't work with them. They became friends and whatever. And it's still something lingering there, but they just deem it as friends. That can happen too. So it just depends. But at the end of the day, you just got to trust them unless you get a reason not to trust them. But if you get any inkling or when you're around a dude, he acting weird or it's like.
But what if he don't like her? He just don't like you? Because that happens. So I feel like you got to go off with your partner too.
Yeah. You kind of got to trust the partner at the end of the day. Yeah. Unless you see something blatant. What I realized from a lot of women that I've dated, they'll call a male their friend, but don't give you the backstory.
Okay, that's true.
So they'll be like, oh yeah, this is my friend such and such. Okay, cool, I could take it there. But I know that this friend could have been somebody you dated. This friend could have been somebody you liked. This friend could be somebody you liked that you just didn't get with. It didn't work out. So give me the backstory so I can know how to approach the situation. I
think sometimes, as the resident woman here, women tell men what they can handle, right?
So y'all think we can't handle you?
Sometimes you can. And if I know that it's nothing and that is going to, cause an issue for you, I think some women, while it later causes more issues, because then it's like, well, you lied. It's not really a lie, it's an omission. But it's
omission through a lie.
But I think that it's like, for instance, my friend Matt. We technically met through the pretenses of dating. We went on one date, but we both just felt like the vibes were friends. I have been friends with him for 10 years at this point.
Well, pause. That's good though. Y'all initially met.
We didn't kiss. We didn't nothing. Yeah.
But the problem is when a woman that you dealing with has been physical with this person, dated this person, it didn't work out, and now they just.
But that's different. But that's
what I'm saying, that we don't get the information of. We just get the, oh yeah, we just friends. Oh yeah, we gonna grab coffee.
But I'm saying,
tell us
if I told a guy, yes, me and Matt, we went on a date before, he could immediately be like, see, I knew. And it's like, I don't even need to tell you that because we've had 10 years of nothing. That is inconsequential. It doesn't matter.
But I feel like that's true with y'all in that case. But if there's anything physical that ever happened,
yes, you should tell that person.
It's going to be in the same.
Yes, you should tell that person.
Because it's a man thing. Like, you can't,
that's embarrassing.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
I agree with you wholeheartedly on that.
That's what I'm talking about. But if it's been a day, y'all never did nothing, y'all realize y'all got a friend, cool. You don't really have to say. But the moment where y'all done did something physical and been on these dates and yada, 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 it just didn't work out and now y'all friends, it's up to the person you talking to or with to kind of know that information.
Yeah.
Not in the sense of being weary about it, but just so they can be in the know. So if you are around that person,
they don't have a one-up on you.
Yeah.
That's like, you need to watch Love and Marriage Huntsville, because that happened.
What happened?
This girl, she's dating this guy, and the guy act like he didn't know her. And basically it comes out that she been to the guy's house, but her boyfriend asked her and she's like, yeah, nothing ever happened. He's like, I forgot. Actually, I did go to his house, but nothing happened. So at that point, yes, I don't trust you because it's like, you forgot to tell me you went to somebody's house and I've been around this man. So he, thinking I'm a fool. So yeah, I agree with that.
Since we've known each other, I feel like we've always supported each other in all of our endeavors. Like I said, she has ideas out the wazoo. I have my own ideas, my own thing, and she's always been supportive of me. I've always been supportive of her. So what would you say is like something that you really appreciate about like my support? Like what's a area you feel like I've supported?
I think the consistency of your support has been incredible. And I think that like you are a content creator and I've had many iterations of like, should I have a podcast? Should I have this? Should I have that? And I think that you have not beat me over the head. You've allowed me to go at my own pace, right? So you can be stern and you can say like, Gia, stop playing. Like, put it out. Do what you got to do. And I think you've also, you haven't been forceful with saying like, if you want me to teach you cameras, if you want me to teach you editing, I will do that. But that's on you to initiate that, like when you want to do that. So I think that I really appreciated that it's never been a lecture. It's never been a shaking my finger in your face. It's just been like a consistent, like, you could be doing something like this. Like, where is it at? Because I think it was you, Mark, and somebody else. Like when I wanted to do a podcast, and y'all just randomly DM me like, "Where the podcast is?" So I think I've really appreciated that. And there isn't really like I don't feel like you're keeping score. Because sometimes people can be like, well, like if I brought up to you today, like, oh, I'm launching my website, and you didn't say, yeah, right, because you didn't do this and you didn't do that. Some people do that. And I think you just welcome the season that I'm in. Like, okay, how do I nurture this? Instead of talking about what's dead and what's gone, like, okay, she's in a mode of being serious and producing. Let's focus on this. So I've appreciated that tremendously. And I will say, like, on a personal level, I lost my mom. And I think at that point, we were still early in our friendship because we met end of 2019. My mom passed end of 2021. And just the immediate, like, whatever you need, sending flowers. Like, even to this day, I think people don't realize support is not just through the funeral. It's not just through the first year. Like, I will forever not have my mom. Like, it has no expiration date. So when important dates come up for me, whether it's Mother's Day, whether it's whatever, like, you are there and you are present, and you've never come to me and made the burden of support mine. Because I think what a lot of people do in grief is tell me how to support you. I don't know what I'm experiencing. Like, I can't tell you that. Like, I don't know. Because I think a lot of people will say, well, this is my first time. It's also my first time losing my mom too. So I think you create labor for the person that's grieving when you make it about them telling you how to support them. And I think, you've had, several friends lose their moms and we're young. And I think that that's something that maybe, God has brought you in our life because you're able to carry that and carry it well. Because even other seasons, like when I was egg freezing, that was hard, because every day almost you're going in counting follicles and hearing like, this may not be successful. And I was documenting it on stories, and I had a really low and like Corey called. It was not he was like, hey, what's going on? So it's knowing that like your support is a verb. It's something that you do. It is not a watch and like or thumbs up or praying for you. It is, I'm in the trenches with you. I'm going to call you. I'm going to be there for you. And I think in the beginning stages, like when you were like, whatever you need, I needed tons of things. I was not willing to ask because I also feel like we were very new in our friendship.
That's true.
And so many people say whatever you need until you ask them for something.
Right.
Then it becomes, so I think for me, it was just, I wasn't in a position to be disappointed again. But like when they brought them flowers in and I'm like, who are these from? I was like, Corey sent flowers from my mom. So it was a big deal. And I think that that's just something you sent my mom a video because I asked everybody to send my mom videos dancing to make her laugh for her birthday. You sent one. So I think that your support has just been something that is seen, is felt, is appreciated, but it's authentic. Because I don't think you could have kept this up over 5 years if it wasn't authentic.
That's facts. That's facts. Yeah, and you pointed out like having other friends that dealt with similar situations. I think that in itself kind of helps me understand how to take those situations and how to be of service where I can without being like
forceful.
Right, without being forceful. But it's also like you said, there's a lot to take in based on in any facet. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter where, most of my friends I've either know of one of their parents or have talked to, spoken to, seen at some point. So as much as it hit them, it could hit me almost the same too. Like you said, I sent a video to your mom, talked to your mom over the phone a couple of times while we was working and stuff like that. So as you telling me things, I'm still processing it too, but also have to figure out like, how do I be a support to my friend throughout this hard time? Actually, shoot, my best friend lost his mom. My other best friend lost his mom. Yeah. So yeah,
it's like 5 of us.
Yeah. It's a lot. It is a lot. But I think the tough part is trying to figure out what each individual need. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody need the same support.
So how do you go about figuring that out?
Based on how I've built my relationship with that person, or based on what I've seen from that person. Like I've always seen you were like hands-on, you're about action, you want to see, you want to feel that somebody is supporting. Cool. Like with my boy John, I know he's like more so to himself. So I need to give him space and then, give him some time and then check on him every now and then. Maybe for you, it's like every other day.
Yeah.
So it just depends, but it's based on like how I've witnessed my friend outside of a tragedy, and then kind of see like, because even John, like me and John, we're good friends. We're cool. We're the roommates. We went to the same high school, but I don't talk to John every day. I don't know half the stuff John be doing sometime. I see him on Instagram, but we don't talk every day. But when we talk, it's like old times. When we see each other, it's like old times. Versus Justin, I talk to Justin almost every other day. So it's like, I know like the type of interaction he's used to, and it look weird if, like something like a tragedy happened. I'm just like,
bad.
You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on what that relationship is like and how I see them moving in their everyday life.
I think though, grief changes and it ebbs and flows. And I think if you're the support system, you kind of have to ebb and flow with that person.
Exactly.
But I think one of the things I appreciate about you is sometimes the worst thing you can do is on a sentimental day, you reach out and you bring it up. Because what if I didn't realize it?
That's true.
So like a lot of times, like if it's Mother's Day or something, or like if it's my mom's death anniversary or something, I block it out. I'm not going around people. Like, you know what I'm saying? And there are points in that day that I might forget. And somebody will text me like, your mother would be so proud. And it's like, dang, I was having a good moment.
Right.
So I feel like most of the time when you reach out, I feel like, so, yo, what's up? Like it's like a regular day.
Yeah.
And sometimes I have to put 2 and 2 together like, oh, he reached out because it's this date. So I do think that that's important. Not always making your outreach about the grief,
just
because
a simple check-in.
Because I think sometimes that in itself is like, well, dang. Because I feel like, my graduation from UCLA, like it was different, right? Because I didn't have any of my friends from Atlanta there. I was blessed to have one of my good friends that's actually in the industry there. I interned with him 10 years ago. And he came, he was at LA based, love him.
Shout out to you.
And I also had a classmate from UCLA come, but it felt different because I'm like, my family's not here, my friends are not here. And once I walked across the stage, the amount of texts that because I was good. your mother would be, your mom is smiling down. I'm like, y'all, please, like y'all trying to take me out.
Right,
so I feel like sometimes, like, as much as it is a help, it can be a hindrance because it's like, I am suppressing these thoughts to get through this moment, and you are actively bringing it back up.
Reminding me of this. I can see that.
Yeah. But do you think that there's a difference female to male? Because the other people that you know that have gone through this are male, and then I am female. Do you think that there's a difference in that gender wise?
No, not really. I don't think there's a difference. I think it might, depending on like relationships with whatever the situation is, right? You know, some people might be closer to their parents. Some people might not be as close. So I think that's the determining factor. But I don't think gender plays into it from what my experience been so far.
How have you differentiated? Because you've had friends who have lost their mothers young.
Yeah.
Where, you know, this is a loss that you inherited in a sense because they had already lost this person before you met them. And then you have people where the loss happened during y'all's friendship. So has that altered your support, right? Because if you have a friend that's like, I lost my mom at 9, I didn't meet you till I was 19,
right?
You know, but that's still, like I say, it is a life sentence. So does that alter your view on the support?
No, I kind of treated it the same, honestly. Because I wasn't there during that moment don't mean that it doesn't hit the same for them. So I kind of just take it like that. I treat it the same way as if I've known them. They've been my friend forever. And and they told me about it. I'm a add it because the ultimate goal is to continue to support people when in need, you know? Because some people, like you said, could suppress the feelings. Some people, you know, think dates come up and you might be trying to get away from it, but also you want the comfort of others.
Of other people.
Others. And you might not ask for it. You might not be like, hey, I want to go on this day. I want to go out to eat, or I want to go to a park or something like that. But if somebody just be like, hey,
if they offer,
what you doing on this day? Or what,
and you know,
or a phone call or something.
I think most people don't know this. Like, my grief became very dark at a certain point. And, you know, I was never a person that really dealt with depression or anything like that prior to my mom. And specifically when it comes to unaliving, it was a thing that I always said I would never do. But the caveat was because of how much it would hurt my mom. Like, I was like, I would never do that because that would just be so hurtful to my mom. And when she died, there was a part of me that was like, well, she ain't here no more. So if you were to do this, it was a battle of, you have to have your own will to live because there was nobody else for me to live for. So when you think about grief, right? Even you think Lauren London, oftentimes people will say, I have kids and they deserve a healthy mom. They deserve a healthy household. Or I had a husband and he needed this. I was a single woman, 28 years old, without kids. So who else was there? Like, there was nobody for me to wake up and feed. There was nobody sharing my home with me.
Just you.
Everything that I had to do I'm the beneficiary. And there were moments where it was just, I was very apathetic about life. I think, you know, I've never had a plan. I've never, you know, but it was just kind of like, if something happened, I just wouldn't care, you know? And I remember I would get these thoughts of like, you know, if you did this, nobody would care, like your friends would move on. And you don't know how many times randomly one of my friends would text me in that moment. Where I'm starting to believe this thought of like, well, that's true. If I did do this, like at this point, I really just got friends left. They're going to move on. They're going to miss me, but they're going to move on. And you hitting me up, you know, or a friend hitting me up is kind of that like God intervening, you know, like I liken it to like the serpent and Eve. Like, did God really say this? Like, and you need somebody to run interference sometimes and be like, you are valued here. You are loved. You are supported. So I thank you for those moments because, hey, I may not be here. So it's important.
Pivoting on to another subject here. We know earlier you said you're into screenwriting.
I am.
You know, very creative.
Yes.
She just need to output it more.
You ain't lying.
But I think what's cool about like you and screenwriting, like I hear your ideas, I hear like ideas you've had about particular shows, or like you said when we watched the movie the other day, different things they missed out on. I'm like, they could have had that. Like, so you actually do have an eye for it. What do you feel like is next when it comes to screenwriting for you?
I think that we treat our dreams like there is one take. And if I don't get it in the first take, then it's just not to be done.
Right.
In film and television, they are taking as many takes as it takes to get the shot, to get the scene. I think that to your point about me not wanting to put things out, is like, it is a fear of failing in front of people or learning in front of people. And I think that now it is, I have the credentials behind my name. I have the education. I have all of those things, the support system. And I think the only thing that's been lagging has been that confidence piece of being willing to be seen.
Gotcha.
So
and criticize
because nobody's above it. But I think that even with that, I've changed so much of my perspective about writing. Like, my favorite movie is Babs.
Really?
Of all time.
Hey. My sister used to watch that junk all the time.
It's heavily criticized. I mean, it bombed when it came out.
But it's a classic though.
It was a late bloomer. Like it wasn't, and
they don't make movies like that.
They don't. But I remember growing up as an only child, and I had the VHS, and I would watch it over and over again. And I would laugh every time, like it was my first time watching that movie. And so much of what I do now is framed in that.
Gotcha.
Okay. If I make Babs, figuratively speaking, and there's a me out there that is like, this is my favorite. Like, literally, my 18th birthday cake was themed after Babs. Like, it has followed me my whole life. But I think that you have to go for the one. Like, I'm aiming to make somebody's favorite TV show, not everybody's favorite, because I can't. Like, I just can't do it. Like, the movie that we saw, we all have varying opinions on that.
Right.
There were, I asked y'all afterwards, like, well, what was your favorite scene? Your favorite scene wasn't even a scene. You was at the flower shop. So I think,
that's all I captured.
You was asleep. I don't even think you was watching the movie, because ain't no way the flower shop was your real answer. But
it was the creative in me. Seeing it all come together, her name matched the flower. Like,
that's not a scene.
That's
a concept.
You said the favorite part about the movie. That's my favorite
I said, what was
part.
your favorite scene in the movie?
Oh.
And you said the flower shop.
Mind. I misspoke.
But yeah, I think that there is a very vulnerable thing in writing that you lend yourself to the script, which, I think about my writing being in the intersection of joy and pain. As much as I want to lend my joy to a script, I also have to lend my pain to that script, because that's why when you watch things and you say that's not realistic, because somebody was not willing to go all the way there. Right. And I mean, for varying reasons, people have different styles, but as much as I want to share my triumphs, my grief is going to show up in some of my scripts. My heartbreak is going to show up in some of my scripts. And so I think it's kind of leaving it all on the floor, and allowing it to be consumed and consumed regularly. Because I think one of the things that you've always told me is like, honor your audience in that you don't want them to feel like I'm coming back for more and there's nothing here. Like, you drop every 3 months. Like, I think a lot of artists have this mysterious thing, but it's like a lot of it is just fear.
Right.
And laziness and procrastination. And it's just like, no, because at the end of the day, in getting staffed for a show, they need to know you can crank this stuff out. Like,
get it going. Yeah.
Are you going to be like, oh, I can only write a script every 3 months? Like, so I think it's important, and finding your audience, finding your people. So yeah. Okay.
And I've been toying around with the idea of a show with her.
Yes.
An idea I have that I think will be dope.
Yeah.
Got to get some more people on board.
Yeah. But I think that art is collaborative. You know what I'm saying? Like, There's a few, but most writers' rooms are not one person. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I got 2 people we can add.
Yeah, there's multiple people.
So I gotta bring them together because I don't write or nothing, but I got the idea.
Yeah.
And I don't have to be in it. I just wanna.
You're pitching.
Yeah.
You're developing.
Yeah, developing, pitching. So yeah, we gonna talk about that though.
Yeah.
So rewind a little bit. I know we talked a little bit about my relationship journey. How do you feel dating has been for you in Atlanta? In Atlanta.
I've had to change my outlook on dating because I do feel like you hear so much, it's so bad in Atlanta, it's so this. And I think that there's power in what you say.
Yeah.
I think whatever you focus on is what you're going to find. So as you know, like I got off the apps because I personally desire something different. But I don't think anything's wrong with apps. A lot of the people that I dated, I knew, in some form or fashion. And I think things just didn't work out for one reason or another, but it's been slow. Like, I be chilling because my people burn out quick.
What you mean burn out quick?
Like, I'll be talking to somebody and they're like, this gone. Because at the point that I know that it's a no, you're gone. Like, I don't,
you don't waste that time.
Yeah. But you helped me because I remember, who was I talking to? I don't remember.
What, the last one or the one before that?
Oh, y'all didn't like the last one. You and David.
Well, who you talking about then?
It was right after, I don't even remember his name. Anyway, I remember what you said. And I was like, he just wants so much of my time. And I was like grieving and everything. And you was like, well, you don't need to be dating nobody because that is a part of it. You can't just take. Right. You also have to give. Right. And if you are not in a place emotionally to give right now, then you don't need to be dating anybody.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what I say. It's not a one-way street. I get advice from him. But I think that's been a big thing because, with my job, I was working like a dog, 4 a.m., weekends. And so I found that when I would be dating somebody, I just did not have
the
time. And one of the things for me was like, well, if we're dating, how are you maximizing the time that I am giving you? So when we get together, I don't want to hear about how I don't have, I just made time. So how are you going to maximize this time?
That's true.
So I really just took myself, out
off the market.
Yeah. Well, I won't say I'm off the market because I'm not off the market, but I think if you do the same thing over and over again,
right.
Insanity. And so I just think that what I want is not conducive for online dating a lot of the times because I think even for me, like I am celibate, I am abstaining from sex. Well, online dating, how do you think that fared? And I'm so respectful about it. I'm upfront about it. And you get some stories.
Oh, I know you done got some stories.
But I think even with that, like it'll take a special person. I believe that person is there. I was just telling my friend on the way here, like we were talking about like how excited we are to get married one day. But I was like, it's kind of like I've found this childlike version of myself about dating. Like I can remember like going to Disney when I was younger. I would be so excited. What I was not doing was being mad at the people that was already at the park.
Right.
I wasn't like somebody already riding that ride.
Right.
I want to get to the park for myself. So I don't envy people that are in thriving relationships or marriages. Like, cool, because I'm going to get my turn on this ride.
That's true.
So I think it's just kind of like, sometimes I do have my are we there yet moments with God, for sure. But I'm meeting it with excitement and not despair and not negativity.
Right.
But yeah, and not entitlement. Because I feel like too, I never want to be the person where it's like, put me on. Like, I don't like people do that to me. Like,
yeah, that's
please
she
do
definitely
not.
Don't like that.
Yeah, because I feel like one, just the type of men that I like. I like very direct men.
Right.
If I make an intro for you, do not expect me to carry this. Like, it's one thing if you like, I just need the intro.
You giving a bait, don't
At that, I'm not doing nothing else. So, but I don't know. What type of guy do you think I should date? You knowing me for this.
I mean, like you said, I do think direct knowing exactly what they want and willing to put that at the forefront and lead with that.
Okay.
I think that's the number one thing. Two is, I guess that kind of add with lead, decisive.
Yes.
You need somebody to make decisions for you and for them.
Correct.
Because you can be indecisive. And
Who?
You be indecisive? Yeah, you. And from knowing you, someone that is going to communicate frequently.
Correct.
Not necessarily like every day, but if they can't get on the phone with you, at least they let you know like, hey, I won't be able to get on the phone, but I'm going to give you a call tomorrow, think about you, something like that.
Something. Yeah. Correct.
But just not no cold turkey. You ain't hear from.
Baby, you won't come back. If you go cold turkey, you hit me up like, oh, what's going on with dude? I don't know. He blocked. But I mean, I'm not that bad no more. But yeah, I would say consistent.
But I would say that. But you are right. I feel like you got to have time, energy, and effort in order for something to grow. You know what I'm saying? If one person doesn't have time, energy, and effort, it's just going to be placed on one person.
And I think reciprocity is a requirement.
It is very.
It is not. And I think that we are in an era now where on both sides, you got people that just, not a male thing, not a female thing, but just somebody that is hurt from a previous situation. It's like, I didn't get it there, so I'm gonna get it from you. And I'm not giving you nothing. And I think that that's important too. Like in this singleness that I've had, I'm not just waiting. It's like, okay, I'm doing my own work so that I don't carry those things into the next. But yeah.
And that's a part of it too. You got to do your own work.
Correct.
There's so many people that jump into relationships, marriages, talking phases, but haven't done the work for themselves.
People be jumping into stuff because they bored.
And because they bored. But you have, like, if you really want something to thrive, you got to, because you don't want to be in a place where you feel some type of regret. Like if you're not, let's say you start talking to somebody and then you realize it's pulling you away from script writing or it's pulling you away from your passions. You're going to get to a point where you've been with this person for, let's say, 3 years and you look back and be like, dang, if I would have dedicated this time to really focus on myself before talking to anybody, I'll be further along now.
Well, I think you have to know what your boundaries are before you start dating, because if you don't, you're negotiating at that point. You're trying to figure it out.
Right.
And I think that the talking stage can be much more productive if you know what you're looking for, because you're asking. I mean, we're recruiters. We don't just get on the phone and be doing vibes. It's like, hey, we're asking you tailored questions that are going to help us understand, are you going to be able to fulfill the requirements to be here? And I think you need to do the same thing for yourself. And I think that, like, we know when we've just been desperate to fill a rate where somebody can give a total like BS answer, you're like, it'll do. And it's like, we do that too. But I think that there's things like, for me, a non-negotiable, if you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, I don't know you. It's going to be a no.
Right.
But I also feel like people will settle for, so what's your faith, Christian? Check.
Right.
I ain't asked you nothing. Yeah. And there's, I kid you not.
What church to go to.
There are men, like, you be like, so, like, what does that look like for you? Well, I'm spiritual. What does that mean?
Right.
Well, I don't believe everything in the Bible. No. Okay, what's your denomination? Or are you not? I don't know, I got to ask my grandma. Sir, you're 30. You don't know what you believe? You still got to ask your grandmama what y'all. So that, to me, is not even a judgment. It's just like, we're not aligned.
Yeah. But I also feel like people don't even know the question to ask for themselves. It's like so many people grow up thinking like, oh, if it's a vibe, we have a good time. Or, this person, I find them attractive, or they have a good career. Yeah. They let all that lead besides getting to like the specifics of what you actually require and need in order to be sustained in a relationship.
But it shows up. Like, it's always going to catch up to you.
Yeah. But at that time, they done invested so much that they just like,
But it's like.
And that's the bad part.
That's the bad part. Yeah. Because it's like, if you haphazardly if whoever built this house haphazardly put the foundation down, and they started building and they realized there were cracks, and they said, but we didn't already start building, so let's just go. You live in here, it's going to wreak havoc on you, Yeah. So it's like, eventually, I would rather find out week 2 when I don't really know you. Like, you cute and I like you, but I don't really know you. Right. That like, oh, so our faith doesn't align. Oh, so our communication styles don't align.
Right.
And I can wish you well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I don't think like anybody that it's amicable. It's like, I don't wish you bad.
Right.
I'm not subbing you. It's like, go on about your way.
Yeah.
I do feel like
that's true.
You have to know what you're looking for, and your non-negotiable has to be your non-negotiable. So if you say, I am not going to date somebody that is
X, Y, Z
lukewarm, and you meet somebody and they are lukewarm, you can't be like, well, maybe the Lord is calling me to them so that I can. No, you said that's not what you wanted.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you say kids are non-negotiable for you, but the wife died, it's just like, that's sad. But if that's not what you want, then that's not what you want. Or you need to dissect, is your non-negotiable rooted in, immaturity? Is it surface level? Because maybe you could date somebody with kids, and the insecurity is this person, to your point before, are they going to be with the baby mama? Are they going to be, so.
And I think a part of it too is people don't feel comfortable asking questions up front.
Correct.
Like, I think it's a huge green flag if I were on a date and this girl is like asking like some legit questions. I think people don't seek clarity for themselves too often. Like, I feel like when people go on dates, they just going on dates to say like, oh, is this a vibe and things like that. And then after that, they don't really take the time to seek clarity if this person fit what they're looking for. It's kind of, and I feel like a lot of women do this.
Yeah.
Not trying to pick on y'all women, but a lot of women do this because y'all are more so gatherers. Like, we're the hunters, y'all the gatherers. So let's say every date you go on,
it's who picked you instead of who you picked.
So then you got to be like, well, I prefer this, but he's nice. He got a good job. I'm going to give him a chance.
But what did you tell me when I called you with a certain person? And I was like, yeah, he's really nice. Yeah, he was like, I ain't heard nothing about how he looked.
Yeah, because I'm going by based off of what you tell me you like and what I know you like.
He was like, you don't like that man.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, a lot of times, like, we're placed in a position where we can be
selective.
Very, very selective. Versus y'all, sometimes y'all have to take a little hit sometimes, depending on, like, fight your battles. Yeah. Like, us as men, we don't really have to fight our battles like that.
Well, but I think that as a woman, right, you can position yourself around the man that you do want to. Like, if you're a woman that says, I'm not going to go talk to a man.
Well, that's true.
You can position yourself around the type of men that you. So if you say, I want a fit man, I don't want a, overweight man to talk to me. If that's your thing, you might want to go to the gym. You might want to go to some bike clubs, some running clubs, because that's where those people are. If you're saying Christianity, I want to find, okay, well, you might want to go to the church, to, groups that they do that. So I do think that, like, you can't hang out around what you say you don't want. For instance, it's a running joke. If you want to get complimented, go to the gas station. Cool. That's going to happen every time.
But you ain't about to get in a relationship.
But I'm not going to get in a relationship.
Most likely.
With old boy from the gas station.
Yeah.
So if I'm only hanging out at the gas station to get validation, and I really need validation at that point, old boy going to wear me down. And next thing you know, I'm going to be, well, I just gave him my number. And now you with somebody that you're like, how on earth did I end up with this person?
Yeah.
So I do think that, like, sometimes people go places just to get the attention that they want or the praise that they want. And before you know it, that person is wearing you down. And it would never be a place or a person that you would otherwise entertain. So I do think you have to, if it's a no, it's a no. If somebody that is not your type approaches you, I don't, people are like, well, let's see where it could go. Well, I just need to add to my roster. But that person's not your type.
Yeah. I just see this a lot where women give more chances. Like, I feel like us men, a lot of times.
Didn't we just talk about in the beginning how many chances you was giving all these women?
That was the immature. Once you reach a certain level of maturity, you kind of know what you want, you know what you need, and you know exactly, like, okay, this is what I need in my life. Back then, man, I was just getting out of marriage. I was out here doing my own thing. I wasn't.
But okay, to that point, getting out of marriage.
Yeah.
What do you feel like was your biggest void that you had? Void, emotional void coming out of that marriage. And how did dating, or how did you try to feel that with dating?
I had to get back to me. I think that was the thing. So yeah, I feel like for me, I was just more so of like, once you've been in that space for a while, you kind of have to flex a little bit based off of, okay, what your wife like, what you like, what your wife like, what you like. But when you on your own, you figure that out yourself. Like, what do I like? What do I value? How I like to dress, whatever the case may be. How I want my beard. You know what I'm saying? I ain't taking nothing, nobody opinions, nothing like that into effect.
So has that made you rigid though? Like now because when you're even in any relationship, there's a give and a take. So are you now like, no, this is how my beard is. Don't even, like, where they might say, oh, I like when you grow it out a little bit more. No. Like, are you rigid?
I'm not rigid, but I'm just firm on how I feel I want my beard and my face to look. Like, if my girl's like, oh, you need to cut it, I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do that. That's just point blank, period.
And that's how you feel about everything?
Not everything. Okay. But when it comes to like me personally, like personal things that I've cultivated on my own based off of me, myself, and I. Like, I decided I wanted to grow a beard. Nobody say, oh, you need to grow a beard. You would look nice. Yeah. Listen, I decided that. I decided I want to keep a low haircut and a temp fade.
But okay, if as a woman, she says, like, I really like you in a business outfit. You know, like, I really like when you wear X. I really like this cologne. Are you going to be like, look, I don't dress like this all the time? Because your style is you. You've chosen your style. So if she says, this is cool, but I like when you have a tailored look.
If it's a style outside of what I have, then I can't fly with that. Like, but I know, like, I'm versatile. So I business clothes, street clothes, anything. But if it's something like, oh yeah, I like guys that wear crop top jackets. Like,
ain't nobody talking about no crop top jacket. You know what I'm talking. See, men, y'all love to go to the extreme to prove your point.
Crop top jackets is in these days.
What man is walking around with a crop top jacket?
Crop top jackets in these days. But anyway, but you know, it just depends. It depends on if it's something that's going to put me completely outside of myself. Because at the end of the day, if I don't feel comfortable in it,
go away.
If I don't feel comfortable in it, it is what it is. I ain't about to.
Now I have a visual of you in a crop top jacket, and I really wish you had not.
Coming out of that situation, yeah, I did have a sense of like, I need to figure out who I am. You know, I need to gain my own respect, find my peace. Like, I was in my own.
You and this peace and respect. If you don't know nothing else about Corey, peace and respect will take you very, very far with him. And it's very easy for him to think that you're not giving him those. This is disturbing my peace. It's disturbing my peace.
What would I say? That's disturbing my peace.
Everything disturbs your peace, Corey.
What disturbs my peace?
She called me too much, and that's just disturbing my peace.
If I ain't got time for myself, that's disturbing my peace. Peace.
But you don't have to answer the phone.
It's disturbing my peace. I see it ringing.
Like, everything disturbs your peace. Like, somebody talking to you, she don't respect me. Don't cut me off. You don't respect me.
If somebody cuts you off in the conversation, they don't respect you.
But even in us talking, there's been time and excitement where I'm not disrespecting you.
No. Not in a casual conversation. But
in a heated exchange.
If somebody is having a heated exchange, a heated argument or debate, whatever the case may be, you got to get that person the floor to talk. Because if you interrupt them, that's disrespectful. That's mine.
Ladies, yes and no. Because if the road that you're going down is wrong, why would I let you go all the way down that road when I could just simply correct you and say, hey, I'm going to let you finish, but that's not even what I said. I said this, this, and this. Now respond to the correct thing.
That's decent. It depends on how it's done, but also it's okay to be like, I'm gonna let him finish.
But you're gonna upset yourself about something. Like, if I came in here and I said, woo, this is jazzy. And you thought I said, woo, this is nasty. And you start saying like, gee, I'm not gonna have this disrespect in my house. I want to say, whoa. I said jazzy. And if you go through this whole pitch thinking I said nasty, That's unnecessary when I can just correct you and say, I said Jazzy. So now, then you can say, oh, never mind. Then we won't even have to argue.
In certain situations, yes, but in most heated debates with anybody, you just disrespect. It's disrespectful.
It's just disrespectful.
It's disrespectful.
But you don't even like how people give you the floor.
What you mean?
You have an attitude while I'm talking, but I'm giving you the floor.
Oh yeah, if you got an attitude, then we all what you got an attitude for?
When people have a range of emotions, you can't control how somebody is feeling. And if they are emotive and you can see it on their face, hey.
But think about this though. How somebody is receiving you can change the narrative of a lot of things.
True.
So if I'm talking to you, I'm like, hey Gia, that's different from me being like, hey Gia. You know what I'm saying? So
but we're not in a fight.
But either way, how you receive me in that moment, you see how you jump? How you receive me in that moment, you're gonna be like, wait. So if you want somebody to receive you in the most best way.
But we're calm right now.
Yeah.
If you slap me,
yeah,
I'm not calm. So if you're trying to explain to me why you slapped me, I'm not gonna be like, yeah, I understand. I'm gonna be like,
but that's because I disrespected you first. If somebody disrespects you, you have every right to respond in whatever way because they disrespect you and they cross the line. But if somebody is not disrespecting you and talking to you respectfully or handling you in a calm way and you meet them in the opposite, it's disrespect.
Well, is it fair to say that most arguments start with some form of disrespect?
No. I don't think that's...
You don't think that...
Nah.
So you think most arguments are caused by what?
Miscommunication.
But is it possible that I feel disrespected by the miscommunication?
Some arguments are caused by disrespect. So think about, like, if you have an argument with your friend, it could be something miscommunication, it could be disrespect, or you might have felt a way about something. That's perfectly fine. But I don't think all arguments is based off blatant.
Well, no, not all.
Yeah.
But I think that there's something that may have offended me, right? So disrespect may be the wrong word. Offense is involved. If I'm offended, I'm probably not gonna be sitting here like, Corey, tell me.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it's okay if I'm upset. Now I don't think I should be coming at you like this, but I do think that for you to expect me to sit here smiling and chipper.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone expects somebody to smile and be chipper. I just think that if you're talking to someone when it's a friend, relationship, family member, you love them. Yeah. If they offended you, you're not instantly going to attack them in a way. Correct. You're still going to be kind of like, okay, cool. If it's somebody you don't know, it is what it is. But if you love them, you can't meet offensive with how you feel on the inside. It's kind of got to be like, okay, I feel this way, but let me, iron this out first. That's how I feel.
Well, I'm a processor.
If I'm offended, I'm not instantly, if I know you, if I'm offended, I'm not instantly going to be like, I'm offended now. I got to be like this. It's like, I got to be like, maybe they ain't mean it that way. Let me hear them out. Okay, you meant it that way. Okay, now you blatantly being disrespectful. Okay, now I can turn up. You gotta. So you
just be waiting for permission to turn up.
Yeah, you gotta process it. But sometimes people just, as soon as they're offended, bam, they whole demeanor change, attitude, things like that. And you maybe didn't mean it that way. That doesn't give them the right to not feel a way, but how they output it can change the narrative to anything. That's how I feel. What y'all think?
Are you the type of person though that wants to talk about something immediately? Because I do think that, like, I'm a processor. So if something happens, I need time away to process that so that I can come to you in a non-emotional way to attack the problem instead of attacking you. If you are forcing me to have a conversation with you when I have not done that, I'm being led by emotion because I may not even know what's underneath that emotion. I just know I'm angry right now. Right. I'm asking for space. You're not giving me that space.
Oh, yeah. No, I would never do that. If somebody asks for space, no matter who they is, I'm like, all right, take your time. I'm not about to follow them to where they at. I'm not about to be all up in their grill when they say they need space. I give them their time. Because I'm like that. I'll be like, you know something? I don't have the capacity for this conversation right now. Let's revisit in 5 minutes. Boom.
Okay. So you do give a timeline, though?
I would give a timeline.
That's kind.
Yeah, I would give a timeline.
Because that can make somebody anxious that wants to have a conversation right then. Because like, when you coming back? So that's kind.
Or, sometimes, I think sometimes people need space in general. when it's a heated discussion. Sometimes emotions is just so involved where both parties just need to take a little chill pill, come back. Let's redo this.
Yeah.
You know, I think that happens with relationships, friends, especially friends, because y'all known each other for so long. Things happen.
So
we ain't never had an argument though. Have we?
We've never had an argument
though.
But I also feel like we don't do life together in that way. Like
right.
Most of the time we are together for celebratory things or like a quick like, oh, let's go to a speakeasy, let's do this. And a lot of times we're around other people. I have to say I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
This house, like I remember we talked about this. I remember when you were in your apartment, and I remember when you were meeting your realtors to look at this.
Oh yeah.
So it's so amazing to be in the reality of this space and just seeing you be at Accenture and be miserable and get out.
And get out.
And get out better.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Google is the pinnacle for a lot of people. Like you could have went to some no-name company, you know what I'm saying? And nothing against no-name companies.
Right.
I've worked for them. But to see you continue to rise and how you steward this platform, I just think it's an inspiration. And I think that creatives need to be surrounded by creatives.
That's true. That is true.
Because I think what I am doing right now is crazy to some people. And I think when I tell you, you don't flinch.
Oh, yeah. No.
You're not like, wait, so you want to write? Wait, so you going to do this website and you're going to do, like, you're just like, cool. Like, how do I help? You need, how do I hold you accountable? So I'm just so grateful. And if you are creative and you want to be around people to fuel you, I mean, Corey's a great person, but I think in general, everybody's not in proximity to people, right? Like I think for a really long time, I felt like my dream was tied to a time and a place. If I wasn't in LA and it wasn't the right time, then that meant I was not supposed to be a writer. And this mantra that I've had lately is like right here, right now. Because I promise you, when I went to UCLA, my graduation, I ran into Ava DuVernay. Literally was standing right behind her to board the plane. And I didn't have the confidence to tap her because I'm like, the worst thing that could happen is somebody be like, oh, what do you write? Send me your portfolio. And you don't have anything or you don't feel confident in what you have. So that's why I say right where you are. Because you want to get to LA, but when you get to LA, the first thing somebody's going to ask you is send me a sample, send me what you got. So if you're going to move, that's fabulous, but don't move empty-handed. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think that in order to be a writer, you have to be staffed. I think in order to be a writer, you have to write. That is the definition.
That is very
and so many times for me, I felt insecure about calling myself a writer because I wasn't staffed.
Right.
But it's like, that is not what makes me a writer.
Have a skill though.
Exactly. Like when I got laid off from being a recruiter, I didn't feel inferior to say that I recruited because that was what I had done for 10 years of my life.
Right.
A company made a decision. So I think in the same way that we don't feel discredited in our corporate jobs, I really wish that we would stop discrediting ourselves in our giftings and our skill sets that are outside of corporate. So I would just say if you are somebody and you want to write for television or for film, find community where you are first. If it's Zoom rooms, right? It might be, I'm in a writer's group right now. We're all over the place. So it's like find your community, but more than anything, do the work.
Well, y'all heard it.
Yes.
So definitely got to have Gia back on here. We got some more stuff to talk about too that we weren't able to tap on, but glad y'all got a great conversation out of us today. Thank you again for being on the channel.
Of course.
We'd love to see you back.
It only took 5 years,
But yeah, I will catch y'all in the next episode. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share it with a friend. Because some gems was dropped in this video. And make sure you check out her website. I'll leave it in the description. Yeah, I'll catch y'all next video.